15 years ago today, the remains of 2-year-old Caylee Anthony were discovered. Her death and her mother's murder trial kicked off a frenzy, a media frenzy that people still to discuss and they debate and they try to figure out to this day. There are a handful of locations that played a really big part in this trial, like the swamp that Steve Helling just told me about, where he visited and found that there are today, 15 years later, little teddy bears and mementos still being left in her honor. As well, the Anthony's home and the jail where Casey was locked up in solitary, as well as the courthouse where the trial happened. NewsNation's Alex Caprariello revisited those spots and discovered a couple of surprises.
Over the passage of time, 15 years since baby Caylee Anthony was found, some things have changed and others have not. George and Cindy Anthony still live right here on Hope Spring Drive in Orlando. At the time, for weeks and weeks, rows and rows of media packed these streets beside aggravated Americans who demanded answers, hurled insults, and even spat at George Anthony. 6 months after her disappearance, baby Caylee was found here, approximately a mile from where Casey lived with her parents. At the time of her death, midway through the Florida summer, this area would have been hot, overgrown, and swampy. But by December 11, 2008, the area had dried up. A linesman had found her body wrapped in a blanket with duct tape covering her skull and mouth. For about 3 years, Caylee Anthony lived here in the Orange County jail. The seriousness of her situation was likely sinking in. She was accused of murdering her daughter in the first degree and could face the death penalty. In retrospect, many people tell me that the prosecution likely overcharged her for these crimes, that it was too difficult for a jury to find her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt without a lack of direct evidence. For 6 weeks, the high-profile Caylee Anthony trial took place right here in the Orange County Courthouse. The prosecution pulled friends, family, and forensic experts to the stand to testify. Defense attorney Jose Baez spun a web of family secrets and child molestation, saying Caylee accidentally drowned in a pool and Casey's only guilt was helping her father cover it up. It worked. Casey was acquitted of her murder. She now lives in South Florida, working for a private investigator. Her freedom is a right afforded to her by the U.S. Constitution as an acquitted defendant. But still, 15 years later, many Americans believe a murderer was allowed to walk away from her crimes without penalty. Ashleigh?
Our thanks to Alex Caprariello for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.